Alright, we're here again with the Alcort Super Sailfish Jaja, and we're working on the tow rail, putting a little bead of THIXO down either side of the tow rail, and this tube ran out, so what I do is just take the mixing tip off, grab a fresh tube. There's a little cap, and it's comes off. Keep that handy in case you don't use the tube. You can seal that back up, but the cap has side for, there's two sides in the cartridge, one resin, one hardener, and the tube has these little channels here, and it mixes it together, so you don't have to do it by hand if you don't want to. So. Cap back on. Easy squeeze out a little bit to get a little popping, and then make sure I got equal amounts of resin and hardener coming in again, and I can just keep going. Down the edge of the trim here. This trim, it really is, it's trim. It's not a structural component of the boat, so I don't have to worry about it holding anything together. If I did want to use this as a structural component, what I would do is I'd probably put thin beads of epoxy on both sides of the surface, and then take a little tool and spread it out nice and even, so I made sure I had the whole entire surface covered on both sides of whatever you're joining together. That'll make sure you don't have any kind of voids where there may not be epoxy in there. I am making sure, getting a good bead down either side to try to keep water from getting past it and getting in there. We did find out that it was a little easier just to go ahead and take the trim completely off, and then put it on that way. I was worried about it, the alignment of being able to get it back on the right place, but I figured out that halfway back I've got little joints where the two pieces are butted up to each other, and as long as one of those pieces stayed in place, I was able to find the right spots for the screw holes for the screws to go back into. You can take the I'm switching back and forth on hands because it does take a little bit of force to get the epoxy out of the tube, so you have great hand grip strength when you're done. A little chunk of deck missing here, so I'm just going to fill this whole thing. I'm going to make a little Dutchman out of epoxy. Make sure there's not a void there where water can come in. That looks like, I believe that's probably the area where some rot started. Finally showed up by going through the edge of the deck, and so they had to pull the deck off and replace at one point. So now that that's on, I can take this crease trim, flip it over, up here, find the first hole, the first screw. Kind of remembering a little trick for finding a existing, careful not to sit your tools down in the epoxy, for finding a existing screw hole underneath where you're putting in a new fastener. I think they said you could run the drill backwards till you found it. There it is. on, just sighting by eye to get the trim lined up with the edge of the rub rail. That should get me in the vicinity of where the screw hole is underneath. And we can keep putting these fasteners in. Ran out of silicone bronze, so I switched to some stainless, marine grade stainless that I had. The marine grade stainless, from what we've read, it's great for use above the water line, below the water line. You may want to do a little more research for your particular application. Speaking of research, insert the plug bell here for Jamestown distributors. They have a hotline. You can call their tech team 6 days a week and ask them about products, or give them a problem you have, see if they've got a solution for it. They're the ones that turned us on to thickened epoxy in the first place. We used a lot of Petit Flex epoxy, and then Total Boat came out with their blend of it, and we've been using that most of the time since then, unless we run out of Total Boat and don't have someone in. So give them a call. And what we'll do now is we'll go down and clean up any excess squeeze up. So go to the flying camera here, so hold on, and come down and see. Got some areas here a little bit squeezed out. Just take the finger, because sometimes it works out that you got one area that's a little too much, or right next to it another area that's got not enough. So you can go in there and make sure you got a nice even fillet in there. The fillet, what it does, it's kind of a little small curve that helps any water that comes down shed it away instead of sitting there in some kind of groove or crack. So once again, we thank Total Boat, Jamestown, for sending us THIXO to help put Zsa back together. There's their number there, the website. And you guys ought to check them out. They've got everything. If you like Petit, if you like Interlux, you like Rust-Oleum, they've got it all, and they've got the people there to help you find what you need and for what you need to use it on. So we'll check in with y'all in a little bit.